Hello, I am Michael Warman. I am doing this video to teach people about the Second Amendment and how it is used. I wanted to do this because some people get confused about what the Second Amendment means. You see, I like this Second Amendment because I do things like hunt and target practice, so I like the ability to own things like guns. The Second Amendment is the right to bear arms, and people get confused by that. So the actual amendment states a well regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. This amendment gives you the right to use stuff like firearms. Like this is a pistol, a commonly used weapon to defend yourself. There are more than just firearms you can use to defend yourself with as well. Like a sword. But will someone just randomly be carrying around a sword? No. Instead, people will usually be carrying a knife instead, like this one, because it's a better form of melee defense that is also able to be concealed. There's also a lot of different types of weapons that are used, like shotguns, rifles, even crazier if you meet the right people. Stuff like maces and sickles, but you're not just going to find someone carrying those around. See this? The pistol. I know that in Maine, you have to be over the age of 21 to legally carry a handgun in your vehicle, like this one. And 18 if you are in the military, honorable or dishonorable discharge. So there are limitations, but you still can. You just have to wait. So this gun I have right now, I am legally not allowed to keep in this car. I just want to make sure people are aware of that.
Now for details about the Second Amendment. When was the Second Amendment introduced to Congress? The Second Amendment was introduced in the Bill of Rights, 1689, but ratified on December 15th, 1791. Then, which congressperson/congresspeople introduced the Second Amendment to Congress? Well, the person that introduced the Second Amendment was James Madison back in 1789. Then, which house was the Second Amendment introduced to first? The Second Amendment was introduced to the House of Representatives first. Then people may ask, which states ratified the Second Amendment, and which did not, if any? States that originally ratified the amendment are New Jersey, Maryland, North and South Carolina, New Hampshire, New York, Delaware, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, Vermont, and Virginia. The states that did not, however, ratify it are Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Georgia, but later ratified it in 1939. Was there any controversy with the Second Amendment at this time? At the time, there was no controversy about the Second Amendment. Is there any controversy now, you may ask? Yes, there's a lot of controversy about the Second Amendment at this point in time. When was the amendment passed in each house? House of Representatives passed it in 1789. Then the Senate passed it on September 9th, 1789. When was it ratified? December 15th, 1791. What does the Second Amendment read verbatim, or what does it say word for word? The Second Amendment reads, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. What is the purpose of the Second Amendment? The purpose of the Second Amendment is to protect the rights of Americans to own and possess weapons for their own protection and the protection of others, their rights, and their property. How has this amendment been used/important in U.S. history? It was used to maintain a civilized militia, ensuring personal self-defense and acting as a check against government and political tyranny. My own personal opinion on the Second Amendment, however, is I like the amendment because it gives me the ability to own things like guns. How many times has the Second Amendment been cited in judicial review? The Second Amendment has actually been cited a lot in judicial review, approximately 10 to 12 times. Was the Second Amendment progressive or conservative for its time? The Second Amendment was progressive for its time. Have there been any calls to the Second Amendment to be removed or overridden? Yes, there have been multiple times. Which congressperson/congresspeople introduced this amendment to Congress? It was James Madison back in 1789. But In conclusion, I believe the Second Amendment is a good amendment. I see why people wouldn't like it, but I also see reasons why people like me would like it. Everyone has their own opinions on stuff like this, so I'm glad I was able to share mine.